Can you believe it? Can you believe it that Schiit, Jason Stoddard and Mike Moffat's company, is 10 years old? Schiit is 10 years old. And I reviewed my first piece of Schiit in July 2010, like a month later, for CNET, and I will link to that review. But it changed everything. And I remember everybody talking about Schiit. They were talking Schiit. The audio that had a lot of buzz. Everybody said, what a stupid name for a company. How could you call a company Schiit? Well, it wasn't the other Schiit. It was the Schiit Schiit. But still, it created instant buzz. Everyone was talking about it. Yes, and you know what? Jason Stoddard does have a marketing background. And it shows. And it showed then, and it still does. Just look at their website. It is far and away the best, I think, in the business. Because it's easy to find what you're looking for. It's very well written. It's very concise. It has a sense of humor. It does it all, and it looks great. And Lee Shelley's photography of the Schiit products over all these years, I think he's still doing it, is fantastic. So the presentation is first rate. But presentation wouldn't mean shit if it didn't sound great. And it did. And that very first piece of Schiit, the Asgard headphone amplifier, made in the United States, Class A, single-ended, everything about it was exactly what I wanted. And the price was $249. And it sounded really, really good. It could drive hard-to-drive headphones really well. Everything about it just checked all the boxes, and they were off and running. If you want to know the complete history, far more than I can give you here, check out Jason's book. It's very well written, and it's just full of great stories about Schiit. Oh, but one of the things is, where did the name come from? How do you get to call a company Schiit? Now, I didn't know this until I read the book. And Lisa, Jason's wife, when he was getting ready, putting all of this together, and when you read the book, you realize how hard it is, the challenges of starting your own small audio company. So he was running around in the days leading up to the launch of saying, I got to get shit done. Where is this shit? I can't find my shit. And Lisa said, well, why don't you just call it Schiit? And there you go. That's how it happened. And that is a great story, and it just pays off. It pays dividends every year. You know, shit happens. Where's my shit? We gotta make better shit. This is really hot shit. You'll go ape shit when you hear it. Great. I got it instantly. A lot of people said, oh, they're gonna go down because it's such a stupid name. Well, apparently not. But Schiit, you know, from the get-go, started with a huge advantage over most startup companies. And it was literally a garage operation. As Jason put it, it was in his 3-car garage, and all 3 cars were still in the garage when they started making Asgards and Valhalla headphone amplifiers in that garage. They had 80 square feet to work in, and his wife, Lisa, did hand soldering on the first 1,000 amplifiers, and Jason screwed them together and tested them. And that's how it all started. But Jason is a marketing whiz, but he also is in the audio business with Sumo. He was the vice president of engineering there. And of course, Mike Moffat is legendary status in the audio biz. He started Theta, and I used to sell Theta preamps. They were the first product to use 6DJ8s as audio tubes. The 6DJ8, as I recall, was a video tube, and Mike Moffat was the first to see the audio potential of that tube, which now everybody uses, right? And Mike also started Theta Digital, logically enough, and his DACs, everybody loved them, Stereophile Class A, blah, 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 blah. I had a Theta Gen 3 DAC. It was my reference for many, many years. What this all adds up to is that when Schiit started, it wasn't just another small startup company and let's see how it goes. I think they had a lot of good credentials at giving this a go and being successful. So one other thing that caught my attention when Schiit started was their proclamation that they were going to make all of their products not only in the U.S., not just assembling parts made in other countries in the U.S., that they were going to try to make all of it, or as much of each product in the U.S. The chassis come from a nearby company in California. The circuit boards are stuffed from a nearby company in California. So it really is a huge majority of the parts inside a Schiit product are made in the U.S. That's remarkable because they're not selling expensive products. The Schiit Magnius headphone amplifier I just reviewed, a fully balanced amplifier, is $199. That's amazing. Again, is there somebody else making a $199 headphone amplifier in the United States with mostly U.S. parts? Please tell me. Say so in the comments section. Matter of fact, so many of their products are in the solidly affordable, let's call that under $500 range, and a lot of them are under $1,000. There's just a couple that are more expensive, like the Ragnarok, right? So every time I review, or nearly every time I review a piece of Schiit, I call Jason, we have a nice chat about the details of the design. And sometimes he said, yeah, we were working on a project and it was moving forward, things were happening, and then it just sort of hit a dead end and never happened. Got a whole room full of prototypes that just sort of lost children of Schiit. But it's funny that while Moffat is really the digital guy, he designed the Schiit Manny phonopreamp. $129 or $149, I can't remember. But this little phonopreamp is just so amazing, and I'm hoping that they make a super duper Manny that's, aims a little higher. But this one for a very affordable price is pretty remarkable. And he also spearheaded the Soul turntable project, which is, I'll get to that a little later in this review. So even though he's the digital guy, he's got his fingers in the pot stirring analog products as well. One of the things that Jason surprised me with is that they're working on a CD transport. Yeah, it's taken a while, and you think now, the whole CD is dead thing. No, it's not dead. I still buy plenty of CDs. Many people do, and this CD transport, I think, would have come out a little sooner, but COVID slowed things down. But Jason says it'll come out before the end of the year. So I am really looking forward to that. Yeah, it has a couple of unusual features. Yeah, it has a coaxial output and optical, but it also has a USB output. Really? Wow, I say USB inputs on DACs are common. But a transport with a USB? I don't know. That's kind of crazy. And especially because I've heard Mike Moffat is no fan of USB in general. So to have a USB output on their upcoming transport, well, I'm sure it's there for a very, very good reason. One of the things that's always surprised me about Schiit, and to this day, they're quirky in their design. I remember when the original Ragnarok came out, when I had that chat with Jason, I said, why isn't there a remote? It's an amplifier for speakers. It's not just a headphone amplifier. Shouldn't it have a remote? And his answer was, wait, it doesn't have a remote? That's kind of a Jason thing to act surprised, but no remote. And Jason told me in this recent conversation, the reason it didn't have a remote is because they had never made a product that needed a remote, so they weren't thinking about it. It was just as simple as that. And for years, talking about Quirky, Schiit amplifiers, DACs, did not have feet, rubber feet or some kind of feet on the bottom of the chassis. Sometimes they supplied stick-on rubber feet, which usually fell off. They just don't do things, little details like the way normal companies would. Another thing they don't do so well is label the buttons on the front panel. Like, what are they? They have symbols on them that I never could see or understand what they're for. And he just said, yeah, I don't like words. It's funny because he's a good writer. But it's just that quirkiness. He says, well, I assume that once you use the product, you get used to it. You don't have to look at the labels anymore, so they're kind of superfluous. I said, it wouldn't kill you to just label, this is the input selector, this is the gain, what's up? But anyway, he says things will change. And speaking of things changing, he's promising that in some upcoming products they'll actually have displays that tell you what's going on. So there's hope. There's hope for the future of Schiit to get their shit together. So then we had to talk about the Soul turntable. And, you know, that product was probably 3 years late, because I remember talking to Jason year after year about it before it was released. It wasn't a secret that they were working on it. And he kept saying, well, we got to make sure it's right. We can't take a chance, blah, blah, blah. And then it came out and it had a million problems. Well, not a million, but enough problems to make it sort of stillborn. And it sat there, and they were offering rebates to their customers that were, of course, to return their money. And they kept saying, we're going to fix all these problems. We're going to fix all these problems. And he's saying now we have the motor, the belt, all the problems are hopefully behind them, and it's full speed ahead forward. But actually not full speed ahead. He said we're actually being fairly low key about the Soul, because we just want to make sure that everything is okay as we move forward. So it's out there. It's a very innovative design, and I hope it works well. And once I'm sure of that, I might review it. I'm not sure. It's one of those we'll see about that in terms of whether I do anything with it. But you know, I do plenty of shit. There's no shortage of shit on this YouTube channel. Coming up to the end here, you know, Schiit has been based in California for going on 10 years, but they are starting to spread out a little bit. They've opened an office in Utah, and they're looking at a location in Texas to do some of the manufacturing of the more affordable Schiit products. And that'll probably happen by the end of this year, early next year, and continue to expand. So right now, the California facility is 16,000 square feet. He doesn't see that growing much in the future, but these other locations will handle you know, the additional manufacturing requirements. There's also some bigger shit in the pipeline that I can't talk about. And again, shit that surprises me. That's what they keep doing. They keep doing that over and over and over again with products and ideas that just, yeah. They got their shit together is the point of this little ramble. I'm sure the next 10 years will be full of surprises, because that's what they do. So my hat's off. If I was wearing a hat, I would take it off to Mike and Jason for 10 years of great shit, and looking forward to the next 10 of even more shit. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This continues, speaking of long runs, this continues to be the Audiophiliac Daily Show. If you like it, please subscribe. I just hit 139,000 subscribers. I can still get you in. It's pretty crowded in here right now, but I'm going to make room for you. All you have to do is press that button right down there and join us. Join us in this incredible experiment, this journey called the Audiophiliac Daily Show. And if you have already subscribed, thank you so much for being there. Truly appreciate it. You should also check out the Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/audiophiliac. But while you're here, as I want to say, you should check out the playlist. There are playlists for speaker reviews, headphone reviews, electronics reviews, and of course, music reviews, plus interviews. There's actually an interview. I forgot I had done an interview years ago with Jason. There's interviews with Jason, with John Grado, with Andrew Jones, a whole bunch of Andrew Jones interviews. Lots and lots of really cool interviews on the Audiophiliac Daily Show. And now my work here is at last complete. So thank you again for watching, and I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.